What's up, everybody? My name's Justin. I'm here to teach you how to work on your own vehicles with basic tools out of your driveway. There's nothing that you necessarily can't do, but if you like to pay a shop or just like wasting money on simple stuff, you don't even have to watch these videos. My common knowledge goes back about 15 years. Never really had to have super fancy diagnostic computers or nothing like that. I get knowledge off of reading forums, and when I've learned over the years tips and tricks on how to do certain things. Now, my goal of this is to educate you enough so you don't have to worry about getting ripped off in the shop. I have many other videos on there about stuff shops couldn't figure out that we have diagnosed and got ourselves. Now, if you like my videos, please like and subscribe. This is an intro. It's going to be on every one of the videos. If you want, thumb through my other videos, post comments on stuff. I'll reply to the comments as I can. I am not a certified mechanic. Just so you know, I am not a certified mechanic. I just know how to get the job done. So, if you're willing to learn, I'm willing to show you. Enjoy the video. This is 2003 Cadillac Deville. Basically going to show you, walk you through the steps I took to do a valve cover gasket change. It's another one of those jobs that they said you can't do without doing this, that, or the other thing. So I was able to do it without lifting the car up or dropping the K-frame or doing anything too drastic. Took a lot of time, took a lot of patience, but it is possible. The first thing I did, I took the intake plenum off. I just do that with all my jobs under the hood. It opens everything up better. For me personally, that's how I like to do stuff. I took the coolant, I think it's an air removal line or a purge line or something. Either way, it takes the air out. I unhook that line, flop that over to the left side. Took this line off, moved it off to the side. You're going to have to do that. This isn't stock, by the way. None of this is. You'll have to unhook it here for your cooler, and that just move it all over there. It's easier. You need as much clearance as possible. Usually there is a relay here with a bracket. That bracket's going to have to come off. You take your injectors off, your injector line. Now, when you take this line off, you do not have to disconnect it from right here. You do not have to disconnect those. What I did is I popped them out of the cradles, the plastic lines out of the cradles, and when I picked it up, I was able to spin it right around and set it over here. Do not try to flip it. Do not try to twist it. You can just spin it nice and easy right over to the other side, right out of the way. I had to do some work underneath my intake plenum and everything. That's why I did all this. You might not have to. I did just for the clearance sake. Got everything right out of the way. All these vacuum lines here, you're going to want to unhook. Make sure you know where they all go. When you hook it, take it off to the side. Pay attention to all that. This has two bolts in the back. Two that connect it to the pipe down the exhaust. There's two 10mm bolts. There's another 10mm bolt up in there too. That you can't see it, I guess. Maybe if I move this down to the side. It ain't moving. 10 there, 2 here. And these are 10s. And there's another 10 down on the back. That whole bracket, this piece comes off. It all separates. The line in the back you can leave there. That's fine. But all this has to come out. After you undo all these injector lines and this, flip it over to the side. Then you can unhook your coil packs. Take them off. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts in that. Make sure you set the bolts off to the side and try and keep everything separated. You take that off. Since you got that off, you might as well do plug change while you're in there. That's what I recommend, because it's a pain in the butt to get in there anyways. You got everything already out of the way, might as well get it done. unhook your O2 sensor plug, and that I think is about it for that. You know, you got that out of the way, you got your coil out of the way, you got your coil boots out of the way. Plugs, leave them in there so nothing falls in, but you can change them. Now we're to the valve cover. That bolt down there in the left hand corner is going to be the hardest one that you have to get to. You can't really see it on my camera because my flash isn't on. I don't know if I can even turn it on well. I'm working, or while I'm recording. Apparently not. Either way,
just turn on the flashlight.
You can't. You can't turn on a flashlight with cameras being operated. Okay, so either way, that bolt's going to be the hardest bolt. We have numerous bolts all the way around here. And you should be able to wiggle that valve cover out. Now the first trick I did is I parked the car on a grade. When it's on a hill like that, you got downward pressure. It's trying to rock the motor forward just a little bit. That's going to give you enough clearance. With everything else out of the way, that should give you enough clearance to get that rear valve cover off. When you get it off, you're going to want to clean everything up because there's going to be old gaskets there. There's going to be stuff stuck to it. Do not scrape it with a razor blade. Do not use steel wool. Do not use Scotch-Brite. What I used, now you can find a cleaner of your source or whatever. I used LA's Totally Awesome. Plan on doing an oil change after this. Not really worried about what gets down in there. LA's Totally Awesome and a regular shop towel will clean all that off. You're going to have some lint and stuff left over. Just make sure to try and get as much of it off as possible. The LA's Totally Awesome and a rag, after you keep doing it a couple times, will get it all off there. And just for grins and giggles, I wiped it with alcohol afterwards to make sure there's no residue. Every surface a gasket touched, make sure it's clean. You're also going to want to clean, you'll see a spot where your coil pack spring hits. That's the ground for your coil pack. You're going to want that cleaned off as well. Everything gets clean if a gasket goes on it. Now, before you put the gasket in on the valve cover, practice taking it in and out a couple times. Find the fastest, easier, not the best, not the fastest, but the best and safest way without damaging that gasket at all. You don't want to damage it trying to put it in there because you're going to be back to square one again and redoing this when it starts leaking again. So, practice that. Now, if you got that down pat, good, put the gasket in. Now, they're going to tell you just to slap the gasket on there. I did not do that. I live in New York. These valve cover gaskets are painted gaskets. They're painted on both sides, inside and out, so the groove that the gasket sets in is painted, oxidized, chipping. I didn't feel that would seal. I laid a bead of the red high temp gasket in there, a small bead, just enough to fill in any voids that gasket wasn't getting. I also put it on the outside of the gasket. So when it sat down on there, I could torque it down and it would sit and it would seal up everything. I do not recommend doing that. You're not supposed to do that, but I do it on my personal vehicles. Never had a problem with it, but I also let my cars sit after I gasket them for a day or two to them to set up. The reason it's not a good idea to do that is because if you think you're going to set that on that gasket, get in your car and just crank your car over, that gasket sealer will act as a lubricant for the gasket that's on there, and it'll suck it out of the crack that it's in. It'll create a void. It'll make it come out super, super easy. You don't want that. So you let it set for a couple days, let it all seal up, should be good. If you decide to go that route. So you get that back on there. You can start putting all this back together. Now, anything you take off here, if you decide to do all this, you might as well do the gaskets while you're in there. You do all them gaskets the same way. I recommend injector gaskets. They take a lot of they take a lot of heat. So the bottom ones usually crack and get brittle. You might as well do all the gaskets while you're underneath here. All the intake plenum gaskets, this gasket, all the gaskets here. If you got it off, you might as well do it. Now, we got the back on there, you're starting the reassembly process, or you just jump to the front. Now when you get to the front, it looks like it'd be easier. Well, in a sense it is. But there's other stuff that's going to be a pain in the butt. You're going to want to take this radiator hose, pull it off to the side. Any hoses that come off, make sure there's something for them to spill in, not on the ground. Undo your coil pack, unplug it, all your vacuum lines. Pull it off. Once again, change the plugs if you're already in there. Do whatever maintenance stuff you can because you already got it all off. Now we're down to the valve cover. You take all them bolts off and you can't get them off. Can't get the valve cover off. Well, underneath this, there's another bolt right down in here. Yeah, so you have that bolt there. There's another bolt here and another bolt here. Now, as you take them off, or these nuts, you take these nuts off, you're gonna pull this guard off and you're gonna say, well, there's a pulley in my way. That would be your water pump pulley. This is the end of the cam. There's a tensioner here and the water pump goes down there. Now, once you get this out of the way, you're gonna have to finagle it out a little bit. It doesn't come out easy by any means. And get that out of the way. You'll see two more bolts that bolt into the tensioner pulley. First, take the tension off the belt. Then you can pull that pulley off with the two bolts and set it off to the side. Now you can get to that bolt. Take that bolt out. Well, you'll find out that this still will not come off. It's because of that pulley right there. That's connected to the cam. The valve cover actually goes through that, or that goes through the valve cover. There actually, if you get a gasket kit for these valve covers, it should come with that gasket. Now to get that off, every video I found said this tool, that tool, never gave the name of the tool. It is an alternator pulley tool. I just went and bought one. That's all it is. This hooks around that pulley, crank it tight, pops that pulley off. You pull that pulley off, then you can pull this valve cover up and very gently slide it off the end there and redo the gaskets the same way with the cleaner and whatever you want to do. I recommend using the cleaner. Not the LA is totally awesome because I don't know what that's going to do to my motor. This is my personal car. Whatever happens to this, I'll junk it. I got more freaking cars anywhere you look. I'm good. But car going by, hold on. Alright, so once you get everything changed, once again practice a couple times, whatever, try and get that back on there. You get to the part where you got to put this pulley back on. Now this cam, mine is all chewed up because I made a mistake of thinking that this was threaded all the way down. So I was going to drive a bolt all the way down there, tighten this pulley on with a washer and call it good. Well, that's not the case. What I thought was the pressure of the pulley going on turned out to be the nut bottoming out, and it just snapped it off in my cam. So the only option I had was to beat it on with a hammer. Now I'm pretty sure my cam is fucked now, but we'll see what happens after that. But what you want to do is you're going to thread a bolt in a couple of threads with a nut and a washer on the bolt back to all the way to the end. You're going to set that pulley on there, thread the bolt in a couple of times, and use the washer and the nut to press that pulley in. That is the proper way to do that. I did it wrong. Don't do it my way. I was hoping for something that wasn't there. Once you get that pressed all the way on, you can start the reassembly process, get it all back together. Everything goes together the same way it came apart. Make sure you remember where all your plugs go. Get all your gaskets reinstalled, and everything should be all set. But if you do the liquid gasket, please give it a day or so to set up. Do not start it immediately. When you are done, you will cause more of a problem than anything else. But that's how I did the valve cover gaskets on my car. You have to make the clearance, even if it comes to parking on a hill, to get the motor to pull forward more. That's what I did. And it worked out. So I hope this has been a little bit of help. Plenty of information. I'm sure I covered everything that I did to get this off and to get it changed and done. If I'm forgetting anything, I'll update the video. Alright, have a good one, guys. Bye.